So we are finally back to recording Rangers of the Old Republic podcast content after what's it been, a 4-year hiatus?
It's been a while.
It has been a while, so for those of y'all who didn't know, the episodes of Rangers of the Old Republic Season 1 have been trickling out on YouTube over the last year, but we recorded them quite a while ago. It is nice to be back. I am Darth Zach, here with
Space Wizard 81.
And we are doing the official ROTOR holiday special. Next week we're going to have a regular episode for y'all to listen to, but in the spirit of the Star Wars holiday special of 1978, we are enjoying some holiday-themed stuff. We're in the season. You done with all your shopping and whatnot?
Just about. I got a couple people to take care of, and, I'm hammering that out.
Good deal. I am so glad that I got my shopping done already, because even just going into the store to get a soda or something, the lines are astronomical.
Oh, yeah.
And kind of makes me wish for that meteor to come, but whatever. I'm not going to be a humbug so close to the holiday. Have you heard of the sequel to the Star Wars holiday special? Well, it is not a direct TV sequel, rather. This holiday plotline takes place in the Star Wars newspaper comic strip series. The infamous televised holiday special was made to keep the franchise alive in audiences' minds during the holiday season of 1978. This new Life Day plotline was published late in 1979, so this is the second Life Day in Star Wars. Life Day is a holiday special invention. The story is called The Kashyyyk Deaths, and it was serialized between July and late September of 1979. C-3PO is telling a supercomputer true histories of the Rebel Alliance to be recorded for posterity. It starts out with Han and Chewie and C-3PO and R2 already on Kashyyyk, and there is huge drama. A lot of people are angry at the chieftain because he has forbade the Wookiees from going down to the lower levels to gather the roots that they need to be able to celebrate Life Day properly. It's part of their religious ceremony. And Chewbacca is angry enough to challenge him to a fight. A Wookiee fight ensues, which Han Solo eventually breaks up and volunteers that just he and Chewie will go down to the surface to collect the roots that the Wookiees need. And by the way, the reason that they're banned by the chieftain from going down to the surface is because stormtroopers are down there doing shenanigans. You've got them looking like 1980s villains with just their stormtrooper armor up to their neck, no helmets because they're wearing goggles, and they're using laser chainsaws to cut all the vegetation because they're looking for the special roots too, the same ones that the Wookiees want. Long story short, very bad things happen to the Imperials, and then Han Solo ends up picking up this hottie, which is okay. He's not cheating on Leia because this is pre-Empire Strikes Back Star Wars, so he's not dating her yet. Then Han, Chewie, 3PO, R2, and the rescued scientists get a hero's welcome back at the village. Life Day is saved. So we just took a look at that Life Day comic from the Star Wars newspaper comic strip from the 1970s. The Life Day comic, this is the second Life Day story in Star Wars. So the first one was in Star Wars Holiday Special. Then they did another Life Day story in the newspaper archive. And what did you think?
I'm going to say, and this is probably not a popular opinion, but I find that the early Marvel stuff, like they just kind of gathered around whoever was there and said, we got to put something together really, really quickly. And so they just, the way that I've always heard the Expand Universe described is what happens if the camera just pans to the right or to the left a little bit. And I think that that's exactly what happened here. Like if they just said, oh, well, let's focus on Life Day for the Wookiees, and there were actually more than just Chewbacca's family there.
Yeah.
So they kind of looked at the geopolitics of Kashyyyk for the sequel in the newspaper special.
Yeah, that's a pretty fair assessment. A lot of the stories, the plot line in and of itself, they're okay. The content in and of itself is interesting. You can definitely see a degree of camp in there.
Yeah.
Early expanded universe is going to have a lot of camp. But that also makes me have so much more respect for the writers with Marvel today who are working with some of their hokey-ass inventions from the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
So in the newspaper comic strip, they introduced the gambling world of Vorzit 5 and the Tag Corporation. I believe they introduced that in the Marvel comic books. And they still have those characters and those locations. So they're still publishing stuff today with Vorzit 5, the Tag Corporation. So we know from retconning, one of the tags, I believe, is the guy who gets force choked by Vader in A New Hope, and he's talking all kinds of smack. But that guy's cousin, Domina Tag, who was a major character in War of the Bounty Hunters and Crimson Reign, that broad is basically all the Borgias and all the Medicis rolled into one person. And it's spectacular how today they're making all these really good serious stories rolling with some of these hokey inventions, because originally Vorzit 5 is the expanded universe authors going, okay, we need a casino, we're just going to make a whole casino planet, and it's going to look like the whole planet is going to look like Fremont Street, because that's what they're going with in the 1970s. And the way they would draw these places in the 70s is very different from the way that they look today, but it is cool to see that kind of continuity. Although, yeah, those stormtroopers without the helmets down on the forest floor look as like 1979 villain as you can possibly get.
Like some of those B movies from the 70s and 80s where the bad guy just, or even kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger from the Terminator.
Yeah. They very much look, like Arnold Schwarzenegger from the Terminator.
And it's like
that generic tough guy crew cut look.
I'm so badass I can wear sunglasses at night.
Yes, that is exactly how they drew these stormtroopers. Although one thing I do dig from the newspaper comics is the black armor stormtroopers. That was pretty dope.
See, I'm surprised we never saw that in the movies.
Seriously, if they had black armor stormtroopers in The Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi, that would have been so badass.
Like, I think that would have added more menace to the whole idea of stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Or even make them elite stormtroopers.
Now, the scout troopers on Endor were cool as hell.
Oh, yeah, I love them.
That said, given how just goofy the Ewoks were, I think having some black armored stormtroopers in there would have been called for in whatever capacity they needed, even if they're just up on the second Death Star, whatever. I still find it hard to believe. So you could look at the black armor stormtroopers from the 70s as your early prototype dark troopers.
Yeah.
I am surprised that the first time the dark troopers actually made it to film content or video content was in The Mandalorian. Because, before them, we got to see them briefly in Battlefront 2 on PS2. They're one of the characters. They've got the dark gray armor. But yeah, the only place where I've seen stormtroopers running around in black armor is that newspaper comic strip. Because in The Mandalorian, they're droids.
I really love the Scout Trooper. Because I like that he had a different helmet than normal stormtroopers. And it looked like a BMX helmet, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool helmet, the design overall. But speaking of the Scout Trooper and the design, I know you photographed Scout Troopers in the past. What have you been photographing lately?
Before the summer began, I did a lot of Obi-Wan Kenobi stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I've seen a little bit of it, but what are some places that you've been going? I know you've got a whole technique, and you really like doing on location.
I really do like going on location. I didn't like the blue Obi-Wan Kenobi figure that came out from the vintage collection because I didn't really like his likeness. And then Hasbro released some new Obi-Wan figures that had a better likeness. So I head swapped to the different body. And then I remember that in '99 for the Phantom Menace that they released an Eope figure. So I put that Obi-Wan on the Eope from the Phantom Menace. I was able to get an extra one from the giveaway they had like 10 or 15 years ago.
Nice.
So I took it out to the beach. I'm not going to mention which one because, yeah, I live in California. And I know there's a lot of other people out there. So, but you'll see me out there every once in a while. And I went out and the first picture I took was a little blurry. And I'm like, because of like desert mirages and stuff like that, I'm like, I could probably leave that one in there and nobody will probably say anything. And actually somebody left a comment like, oh, I really like the blurry pic. I'm like, oh, well, I did that intentionally.
Yeah. It does. It is a good picture, though.
Yeah.
And then seeing the juxtaposition with the character in focus versus blurred out by the heat mirage.
Yeah. I also did one with the apparition of Qui-Gon Jinn at another beach. I didn't change the figure or anything, but I just wanted them together in that fantasy kind of picture towards like the end of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, I see there.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so there's apparition Qui-Gon. Yeah, Obi-Wan looks a lot better with the white robes than the blue robes that came with the blue. That was interesting.
And then another thing that I did recently is I got another one of the Jedi Legend figures, and I put the wrap from the blue figure on him because I've been coming up with the fan fiction idea for an Obi-Wan story.
Oh.
And basically, one of my favorite characters from Star Wars Legends was Asherad Het, who was basically a human who was raised amongst the Tusken Raiders. So I made an updated Asherad Het, and in my headcanon, he was played by Arnold Vosloo from the Mummy series. So I found a G.I. Joe Zartan head, and he's on the new body. And I wanted to make a Tusken Raider camp made up of all the different versions of Tusken Raiders from Star Wars, The New Hope, and the new canon kind of stuff. And their leader would have been Asherad Het. I just haven't put it all together yet. Probably do that during break at some point. But I wanted an Obi-Wan that would fit into that story. So I'm kind of smushing a couple factors together from different figures to make a new one. And then I also showed off A New Hope Tusken Raiders. The Tusken Raider costume from A New Hope has different variations. And if you were to go to shelves right now, you would find, like, I would call that costume A.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And costume A has the bandolier belt with pouches on the belt. But there's another one. If you were to take the 1995, 1996 Power of the Force 2 Tusken Raider figure, that's what I would call costume B. And costume B doesn't have the pouches on the belt. Instead, it has more like a sash. So I put some together using the costume B model. I put them over an older figure, and I got the robe from Yoda from the Black Series, and I placed it over that, and I gave them a sash, and then I placed them on the Bantha, and I'm kind of recreating a scene from A New Hope.
Nice. These are great photos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Bantha really makes the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Good deal. Now here's a special one. Star Wars Han Solo from Marvel Comics. Look at that beautiful artwork. I love it when Star Wars does that. Feeling small, full of wonder about this big universe. I love that vibe. This volume actually has quite a few installments in here. So it's got the first 5 issues of the Han Solo series, and then issues 8 to 12 of the 2015 Marvel Star Wars series. We start off with our galactic scrawl, and then we've got Han hanging out in a bar with other bounty hunters and lowlifes. I like this. Han gets a really bad feeling, so he tries to leave, and he gets a gun pointed at his face, and he gets corralled at gunpoint. To Chewbacca. Ha ha ha. Great prank. They're friends of Chewbacca. The artwork with the Millennium Falcon out in space is just beautiful. Look at how detailed and intricate. We've got Princess Leia making the big ask. Princess Leia and a rebel general. Hey Han, we need to borrow your ship. And he says, absolutely not. And they say, fine, if you're not going to borrow the ship, then you're going to go on it. But we need you to sign up for the Dragon Void Run. It's this race. That's the cover that we need to pick up these particular rebel agents. The race is about to start. Look at that artwork. Wow. The race has started. Han and Chewie jump straight to light speed, and as soon as they get out of light speed, bam! Ships from the race are getting blown up. I like this series already. This is good stuff. Star Wars Volume 2, Showdown on the Smuggler's Moon. This is Volume 2 of 2015 Marvel Star Wars, and it includes issues 8 through 12. This is the run that takes place between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. There's a really interesting subplot in this story where a woman shows up claiming to be Han Solo's wife, and there is huge drama between her and Leia. At some point, Luke Skywalker's lightsaber gets stolen, and that is the start of him getting into a major pickle. To his misfortune, Luke runs into a Hutt with a fetish for Jedi stuff. I really like the Game Master as a character, and there's some cool stuff here that's going to set us up, or set Luke up for events in Return of the Jedi. There's also a big fight between Chewbacca and Dengar, which will pop back up in events in War of the Bounty Hunters. And I'm not going to say how this happens, but this happens. Showdown on the Smuggler's Moon was good. It was entertaining. I enjoyed it. You could find it as a standalone graphic novel in trade paperback form, or if you get the 2018 hardcover special edition of the Han Solo graphic novel. The first half is the Han Solo miniseries, it's only 5 issues, and the second half is Showdown on the Smuggler's Moon from 2015 Marvel Star Wars. The Han Solo miniseries is really, really good, and this 2018 hardcover edition that has 2 graphic novels in one is awesome. The 2 stories work very well together. So what kind of Star Wars content are you going to be consuming over break? Between now and the new year.
Between now and the new year, I haven't seen Star Wars Visions yet. The latest. What is it? Series 3 or whatever, Volume 3.
That's right.
So I was gonna watch that because I haven't gotten to it. And then I don't know. I'm pretty much caught up on that. I might try to get back into the Acolyte, but for me, it was a slow burn. To get through the first 2 episodes, and then at the very beginning of the 3rd episode I was just kind of like, I'm not sure about this. So I tried, I made an effort, but it didn't really capture my attention.
Yeah, it wasn't everybody's cup of tea. I enjoyed the Acolyte a lot, but it definitely was not everybody's cup of tea, so yeah, I understand. And then some people really like Skeleton Crew. I like Skeleton Crew a lot, but the first 2 episodes before Jude Law is actually in it were super annoying for me. And it's to each their own. I totally forgot about the new volume of Visions coming out. Just because I've been so caught up consuming other Star Wars content, primarily comic stuff. So
right.
Lately I've been working on Legacy of Vader and the High Republic. This year I finished all of War of the Bounty Hunters, which was 35 36 issues, and we are going to have a spoiler special where we're going to give away the spoilers from every single chapter away. That's going to come out soon. But man, that was one hell of a project, I'll tell you what, because it's not just the 6 issues of War of the Bounty Hunters in and of itself, but there's also crossovers with the title series and the Darth Vader series and the Bounty Hunter series, and there's 5 or 6 issues that cross over with Dr. Aphra, and there's a couple of one-shots because you need to know what Jabba the Hutt was up to, and then you know they want to show you what Bausch was up to at that time. So when everything is said and done, you really are reading 35 times 25 pages about each comic book. So yeah, War of the Bounty Hunters is a solid about 1,000 pages of reading, and it was pretty titanic. So I've been doing real unconventional stuff. I've been reading a lot of Star Wars manga lately. I read part of the Return of the Jedi manga, which was fun. The episode 1 manga was really good. Really good. I'm working on the New Hope manga right now. But the other one that I read recently was The Legends of Luke Skywalker. And that was a one-shot that was put out in the last few years by Disney and Viz. And in that one, they're creating content to actually connect the original trilogy with sequel trilogy Luke Skywalker. But I loved The Legends of Luke Skywalker because in those stories, in sequel trilogy homage or in sequel trilogy tradition, Luke looks like an absolute bum. He looks like an absolute vagrant. But you see him doing epic shit.
Right.
And you see him being the hero that people need him to be and the Jedi that people need him to be. And really well drawn, but such good stories and such great character development that enriches this character of Luke Skywalker and adds to his mythos. So for everybody listening who has not yet checked out any of the Star Wars mangas, highly recommended. I think you will be pleasantly surprised, even just to say that you did it once. So I'm going to be finishing up the New Hope manga for my current reading, and then see where the next issues of Legacy of Vader and Jedi Knights take us. But I will say, Marvel has been doing a really good job with Star Wars lately. Well, Space Wizard, it has been a time and a half, but I believe we both still have a few more gifts for our family and loved ones that we got to wrap and put under those giant Kashyyyk trees for Life Day. We got to do our own Life Day, but I hope everybody has enjoyed listening to and watching all these montages from the Rangers of the Old Republic holiday special. Please make sure that you've hit like and that you are subscribed. It does help out this channel and this podcast with the algorithms. Make sure you share us. Space Wizard, any final words, wisdom, comments?
My hope for 2026 is that Star Wars and enjoying Star Wars content can be more about like when we were kids, you know, and you just wanted to play like you were Luke Skywalker and nobody criticized about that. And that was fun. You know, you had this very low barrier of entry. And if this were my Life Day message to other people, let's not be so much of a gatekeeper that it hampers somebody else's enjoyment of the content.
That is definitely words of wisdom right there. I dig it, and I agree with that. All right, well, everybody, happy Life Day. May the Force be with you.
Happy Life Day.
And thank you for listening to Rangers of the Old Republic, for being a loyal audience, for still coming back. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Winter Solstice, Winter Holiday, whatever it is you celebrate. Life Day, May 4th, even though we're 5 months early. Whatever you do celebrate,